Welcome to Dakota's Hometown Podcast. My name is Dakota and I am your host. I'm a lifelong resident of Harrison, Arkansas, and many of you may know me from my time at the Boone County Heritage Museum. This podcast, in partnership with the Boone County Heritage Museum, will bring you bite-sized episodes of local Boone County history to spice up your day. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Dakota's Hometown Podcast. This podcast brought to you by the Boone County Heritage Museum. The Boone County Heritage Museum is located at 124 South Cherry Street in Harrison, Arkansas, just 2 blocks off the Harrison Square. You can find the museum at bchrs.org. That again is bchrs.org. You can also find the museum on Facebook at Boone County Heritage Museum. To get a hold of the museum, you can call 870-741-3312. That number again is 870-741-3312, or at bchm@windstream.net. That again is bchm@windstream.net. As you heard, my name is Dakota, and this is the first episode of Dakota's Hometown Podcast. In this episode, I will be explaining who I am, what I am doing, and how this will work, as well as give a brief history of Harrison's Masonic Lodge, Boone Lodge number 314. So let's start off with me. I've been volunteering at the museum since May of 2022. I've given countless tours, helped countless people in research and genealogy, and have been a part of the redesign of the museum. I am also a Civil War reenactor and a member of Harrison's Masonic Lodge. Now, for the podcast. As of now, we will have no time structure. Multiple episodes may be uploaded in 1 week, and there may be 2 or 3 weeks between episodes. This is because the museum is run by volunteers and is financed by donations and sponsorships, which limit our abilities. If you would like to sponsor or make a donation to the museum, please email bchm@windstream.net. That again is bchm@windstream.net. If you would like to sponsor the podcast, please email dakotashometown@gmail.com. That is DAKOTAHOMETOWN@gmail.com. All sponsorships and donations go to keeping the museum and this podcast running. Now, on to the episode. So today I'll be giving a brief history of Harrison's Masonic Lodge, Boone Lodge number 314. The history of the lodge is so extensive that I just cannot cover it all in the brief time I have. In about the fall of 1872, Boone Lodge number 314 was organized under dispensation from the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Arkansas. And on October 14, 1873, the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Arkansas granted a charter to the lodge, with the 3 principal charter members being Worshipful Master William Fletcher Pace, Senior Warden Henry W. Inman, and Junior Warden Napoleon B. Crump. Most Worshipful Dr. Leonidas Kirby, the grandfather of Dr. Henry Kirby, was an early member of the lodge and writes of these 3 men fondly. He would write about William Fletcher Pace, the charter master. After serving in the Confederate Army, taught school while studying law. He came to Harrison and went into the general merchandise business after a time. In about 1873, Captain Pace obtained a license to practice law, in which profession he remained until his death in Harrison in 1912. Captain Pace is described as having one of the brightest of minds, though he was not a very great student. He is said to have been one of those men who, if he had applied himself to the best, could have held any office in the gift of the people of Arkansas. As it was, he served as county and circuit clerk. Henry W. Inman, Charter Senior Warden, is described as a fine physical specimen and was on the other hand a Union man. Henry was a merchant in Harrison, and like others of his day, lived a rather jolly life. He died respected in Harrison, Arkansas. Napoleon B. Crump, the Charter Junior Warden, was also a Confederate soldier and was liked by all. He was county and circuit clerk of Boone County from the organization of the county up to about 1880. No one had more or truer friends than Pole, as he was affectionately called. He died in a railroad accident in Enid, Oklahoma, about 1900. These are the exact words of Most Worshipful Dr. Leonidas Kirby. Now on to the lodge itself. The original lodge was a log cabin which location has been lost to time. But in late 1872, early 1873, while still under dispensation, Boone Lodge was moved into the newly constructed courthouse and held meetings there until 1908. The courtroom was used by the Masons. All church services were held there, as well as amateur theatricals and many more. In 1908, the courthouse burned, leaving the lodge without a home and destroying all prior records. After the destruction of the courthouse, Boone Lodge would meet in rented properties around the square, which at the time cost $15 a month, until 1915 when a new Masonic Lodge was erected at the corner of Vine and Ridge. This new building was the Deluxe Cafe. The Masonic Lodge was on the second floor and the cafe was on the first floor. After moving out of the Deluxe Cafe, the lodge moved into the building that was the Walters Buildings, then would move into what is now the Learning Center of Harrison, and after that, Boone Lodge would share the Bellefonte Masonic Lodge building with Bellefonte Lodge for a few years, until 2017, at which point the lodge would buy the building they are currently in now on the Harrison Square. Folks, that is all the time we have for today. I hope you have enjoyed. My name's Dakota, and I have been your host. This has been Dakota's Hometown Podcast. If you have enjoyed, please feel free to like and subscribe. If you have any ideas for the show or just like to reach out, you can find me at dakotashometown@gmail.com. That is DAKOTASHOMETOWN @gmail.com.